Welcome back to the show. This is Right Wing Rico, Save and Effective Podcast, and we are happy to announce the end of Black Lives Matter. From the beginning, from its inception, it was a nonsensical movement that didn't move anything. Protesting for years, millions, maybe upwards of billions of dollars of damage, nothing accomplished. We lost many people's lives in the protests because they were killed by other protesters. But there was never any clear designation of what was being protested or what would need to be the designated outcome to satisfy such and said need. All in all, in the end, it was just an excuse to steal, destroy property, and to get away with rampant crime with no accountability. The hypocrisy alone of BLM, just the name itself, is why the movement is over. But then again, there was no movement to begin with. There was nothing being moved. There was nothing being addressed. There was a falsehood, a lie, that tens of millions of American Black people were killed by police every year. How? When there's only, at the time of 2020, there was only 40 million Black people in the United States. So if tens of thousands or a million people are being killed per year by the police, well, then that means the entire Black population would be wiped out within 10 years. It turns out that instead of 250, 300,000 Black people killed by police unarmed every year, it was more like 7. But when you look at how many are killed by other Black people through gang violence, etc., well, now you're in the tens of thousands, and it's widely ignored. It's crazy when you do the numbers. Even the school shooters, the mass shooters, those kids are Black. They just don't report it because it doesn't look good when you're trying to create a white nationalist, white racist narrative. But the truth is the opposite. It didn't. This whole movement should have never started in the first place. It was a scam, just like the rest of these fake movements that were being funded actually by USAID. USAID was actually funding Soros, who then in turn funded BLM, funded his own district attorneys in different blue cities, which are lenient on crime. And crime in those cities skyrockets. And who does most of the crime happen to? The Black community. So, but then again, they promote crime, but then want to say, well, Black Lives Matter, but not unless the person who's taking the life is, unless the person who's taking a life is white, it doesn't matter and nobody cares. These facts are what ended this whole movement. It's a joke. It was always a joke. And the people that were behind it were actually making money off of the grift. Many of them are gay and don't live around Black people themselves because of the inherent danger of doing so. That is a fact. That is not hyperbole. That's not an assumption. It is the truth. So now they're actually deconstructing all of this BLM BS that was around the country that was pointless. It was actually illegal to put up, and it was also racist to put up in the first place. So Tim Pool goes over a little bit of it, so let's talk about it.
It's the end of an era, my friends. DC has begun destroying Black Lives Matter Plaza. DDOD will be in charge of reconstructing Black Lives Matter Plaza, which I would argue was built illegally. And the same as in New York when they spray painted right in front of Trump's building on Fifth Avenue, Black Lives Matter. All of it was illegally done. The Democrats in these jurisdictions feel that they can appropriate taxpayer dollars without cause or without function of governance. They can just take it for their political messaging. Now, my friends, if we are going to allow partisan political groups to steal from the coffers for their campaigning, we don't got no country. But my friends, support for Black Lives Matter is in the gutter. People don't much care for it anymore. So this is an easy move to make. Let me get started by showing you this video. Now, X, of course, is down. Let me see if we can try and get this. It still says twitter.com. It's not going to load, I guess. Are we getting it? Is it loading? Come on, X. X has been down all day. But we got it. We got the video. Originally from Ford Fisher. Workers are dismantling Black Lives Matter. Construction crews have begun the process by which they will dismantle Black Lives Matter Plaza. Now, for those who don't know, this is a big street in D.C. They blocked off, painted Black Lives Matter on it. The whole thing was basically an anti-Trump cultist crusade. And because people are cowards, they never stood up to the structures of the democratic system and the institutions that were doing these illegal things. But now times have changed. I'm going to tell you first and foremost, this is not about Black Lives Matter. This segment is about we won the popular vote. Too many people in this country are cowards, refuse to stand up, refuse to speak up. I don't blame everybody. Some people deserve more blame than others. But now that we won the popular vote, it all gets shut down. That's what I was trying to tell you guys. And you got it. I know you understand this, young listening.
What Tim Pool is saying is correct. A lot of people are cowards. The people that I consider cowards are people who will not have a conversation, but they have these extremely strong views that they just can't explain. I call that cowardice because they're afraid of looking dumb. So what that means is that they have a negative outlook on certain things based on emotions and not based on facts or reality. And that's why they can't have these conversations. They become difficult. The whole Black Lives Matter inception was basically just another form of what is commonly known as TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. This all began as a reflex of Donald Trump to find a new boogeyman. Before Putin, there was Trump. That was the person to blame for all your problems. Two black people get into an argument, they pull out guns and kill each other. Trump did it. It's because of Trump. He causes stress on the community. Oh, life is harder for black people than other people. Never can explain how. Never can give you details. And one thing that's a consistent variant is that there's never any personal accountability. It's always someone else or everyone else's fault but their own, which is a problem because, again, it's the hypocrisy in the name. Black Lives Matter, but everything about Black culture is to do with removing Black life from Earth. So on one hand, you're protesting against Black Lives Matter. On the other hand, you're listening to rap music about killing specifically only other Black people. If you look at how gang violence works, they don't hunt people of other races. And I'm not saying they should. Actually, they shouldn't hunt anyone. They shouldn't be killing each other or other people. But unfortunately, that is a part of the culture. People don't understand there's a difference between Black people and Black culture. Black people and Black culture are actually diametrically opposed to one another. They can't really exist in the same space. That's why once you can afford to, you no longer live around Black people, because people don't understand this. Once you gain a certain amount of money, you're no longer Black. See, to be Black is to be poor. To be Black is to be gay. If you're not poor or gay, you're not Black. And even your family won't see you as Black. They see you as an ATM. That's why when you see a Black celebrity or somebody who's famous with money, everyone in the Black community hates them to death. And often they are targets of violent crime and murder and scandals. And it's typically from their own people. Again, this was just another form of TDS. It had nothing to do with protecting Black lives. If you look at it, even the Black Lives Matter protests put Black people out of business. They burned down Black stores, Black companies. They put Black restaurants and turned them into ashes. So everything was antithetical to the Black community or into Black people. The people who were in charge of it were gay, and they took a lot of the money and they ran away with it. People thought they were making donations to pay for funerals and help black people. But that's the thing. Help them do what? This is America. Everyone has to work. Unfortunately, we do have a class of people that do not want to work. They're Democrats, liberals for the most part. They want a communist utopia because in their mind, they think communism means free stuff in lieu of freedom. My family's from a communist country. The reason my family left is because we wanted the freedom to work, not the freedom to lay around and be lazy. In our home country, rent's free. You get vouchers for food, but there's only 3 things on the shelf. You spend a lot of time at home with family, you're not working, but there's nothing to buy. Everyone's equally poor. That's that equity Kamala Harris was talking about. So when I see people here in the United States talking about how communism needs to be done right, but what it is just another way of them trying to skirt work. See, when you're not working, now you're living off the government. You hate Trump, but Trump is your daddy because he feeds you and your kids. You want to be able to take care of yourself. That's what freedom is for. Freedom to take care of oneself and one's family. Freedom to determine one's fate. When someone's taking care of you, they're the one who determines your fate. You want to pretend that white police officers are your worst enemy. I'll be honest with you. I'm from Los Angeles. Every single person I've ever met that was brutally unalived by violence was done by black people, other black people. Everyone I know that was black that ever died they were unalived by another black person, not police. And be honest, not even Mexican gangs, other black people specifically. How can that be possible if there's a movement amongst black people called Black Lives Matter? But then again, I remember driving by one of the marches. It was mainly liberal white women trying to convince black people that their lives matter because, again, people don't understand this, is that there's a war. From where I stand, I see gay white people on one side and straight white people on the other. Gay white people are typically smaller in stature and size. A lot of them are gay. A lot of them are women. So they can't just go and fight a conventional war. So they use guerrilla tactics and they manipulate people like the black community to fight against straight white people on their behalf. So what they do is they manipulate the black community to fight against straight white men like Trump on their behalf. I say it's manipulation because when you ask a black person, why do you hate Trump? They can never give you an answer. They can't tell you their beliefs. They can't tell you their thoughts. They can't tell you what he did wrong. And then they say racist things and say, well, them, when they're mad. And well, how do you know? You don't know anybody white. Never met anyone. And a lot of them actually are fair-skinned themselves, where they could pass for white. But they are the most militant and the most confused. I remember Talcum X, Sean, whatever the hell his name was the biggest BLM personality or whatever, the biggest Trump hater. Where's he at now? Where's Talcum X? Where is he? It was just a grift, a convenient grift. It was never about stopping violence against black people because you would have to directly address black people, and you can't address black people without being called racist. So you can never solve the problem. So the problem is to be given up on, which is why most people most intelligent people have just given up. They wiped their hands with the community. They no longer pander to the community. They no longer are trying to come up with new programs. There's new slogans for stop the violence and all, because the world has just accepted. Until the very last one is alive, they are essentially the Highlanders. There can be only one. Every single night in every Democrat blue city, they hunt each other down. Every single night. You turn on the news, and that's all you see. You turn on a podcast, you got men like this one who literally advocate for when you get into an argument with somebody, come back and just Swiss cheese the restaurant, shut it down. and he is amplified and promoted in the black community. He's essentially a black leader, believe it or not. This is black culture. And this is the thing, when this happens, everyone's first question is, where is BLM? Two black guys at a car wash in Dallas kill another black man and his 5-year-old daughter. Where's BLM? Where's the protests? Where are the demands for justice? It's because this community doesn't care about justice. Criminals are protected. They amplify criminals and they put down anyone who would work with police or talk to the police or try to help solve the crimes. They literally hate those people with the passion. People see Trump as law and order. He wants to make sure police have immunity from prosecution so they can do their job, and so that they don't, innocent men don't end up like Derek Chauvin being blamed for an overdose death and being sent to prison forever, or for the father and son in Georgia who were literally chasing a man who broke into some homes. And then even the guy who was recording ends up going to jail. Trump's going to have to do something about that too. The new DOJ is going to have to get them out because they shouldn't be in there. People want to pretend that there is no element of danger and violence, and there is. You know, I have to keep reminding people, you have to profile, because there is a pattern. There's a history of violence. You know, I've lived in some really nice neighborhoods, and when the neighbors saw what I looked like, you know, because I'm black passing, I can pass for black. You know, I can speak some lingo and I can fit in if I wanted to. But 10 miles away in the community, in the areas where black people live, they will eat fast food and then they'll ball up the wrapper and throw it in their own front yards. So now I live way out in the suburbs in a really nice place. And if all the neighbors are not looking at me because they're racist, they're looking at me because they want to know if I'm going to trash their neighborhood the way the people that look like me trash theirs, 30, 20 minutes away, which is a fair question. Am I going to bring the violence? Am I going to bring the problems that they're working their asses off with 2 incomes so that they can afford to move their kids away from? That's a fair question.
At the top left corner, 2 individuals run to the vehicle. The couple shoots. They take off, and that's what happened.
Police have identified.
Kids are one of the biggest victims of black on black violence, not necessarily directly, but the ones who are caught in the crossfire. That's something that's never really addressed. No one cares about the victims. They only care about the person doing the crime when they're arrested by the police and sent to prison. Or if they are aggressive or threaten to kill police and police have to euthanize them on the spot, now it's a problem. Now they want to protest, but why? You didn't protest the crimes this person was doing. You actually was hoping that they would get out. But then they come commit crimes against you specifically, and you were just saying how much you hate the police, F the police. Then out of your same mouth, you're now saying, call the police. Call them to come help me. I'm going to call the police. It's just kind of like a spoiled child who hates their parents, but completely depend on their parents. This whole system where you breed entitlements amongst only a certain community, and then their children become enemies of the same system that supports them, it's unsustainable. Something's going to have to give. The good thing is a lot of this BLM stuff is it's over. Black people hunting down and killing each other, rappers and their kids. How does Black Lives Matter and the black community? It doesn't make any sense. Black culture and Black Lives Matter cannot coexist. one of them has to be a scam, but the other one is real. To be a part of this whole Black Lives Matter, you have to ignore the actual issues in the community. And it's not systematic oppression or systematic racism. Those are words that people use when they have some kind of homoerotic fantasies against white people they've never met. So they pretend that there's a white man holding them down or tying them up and buck breaking them. That's all bullshit. The truth is, the Black community itself works in its own system. There are systematic problems with ignoring facts and ignoring crime, ignoring pedophilia, ignoring violence. And then later on, you want to call out someone else before you call out the problems in your own house. That's what I mean when I say systematic issues. There is a problem with the system that makes up that community. Because, see, this right here is not going to get nowhere near as much attention as George Floyd. There will be no statues to this man and his daughter. There will be no murals. There will be no blackouts where you don't buy from Target or Walmart in the name of his daughter. No one really cares. But ironically, had the two shooters been white men, the whole Black community in the country would go up in an uproar. Why is that? Well, that's because Black lives really don't matter unless somebody white is involved. So that means there really is no Black Lives Matter movement. That means really Black lives really don't matter. Because literally for it to matter, a white person must be involved. So it comes down to really there's no issue with white supremacy. There's just individuals with issues with Black inferiority, because the only time they care is if a person who they feel inferior to is involved. And these are the things that no one wants to talk about. These are the dynamics amongst this group. I mean, for people who've never met Trump to hate him so much. And then you got to look at the people that are also saying they hate Trump with you. A lot of them are pedophiles, criminals. So those make really weird bedfellows that you have to align yourself with in opposition of our current sitting president. And again, they can't even tell you why. I mean, to pretend that you hate Trump now because of the Ukraine, you don't even know where Ukraine is on a map. And you're not about to sign up and go, because, you could fly there and put on a uniform and go fight some Russians if you wanted to, but you're not packing your bags. It's just all a grift. I go through Twitter and I look at all the fake outrage and I'm asking people, why don't you just go to Ukraine if you want to go fight so bad? Why are you asking me with my tax dollars to pay for your war? Like, just go do it yourself. Why are you trying to encourage other people and other people's sons to go fight in these wars? Andrew Tate made an amazing point. Ben Shapiro's calling for all this violence against Syrians, against Christians, against Palestinians. Ben, when are you going to suit up and fly your little ass over there and get busy? I mean, you're quick to send somebody else's son to go do the killing, but when are you going to just go do it yourself? Makes no sense. However, in this country, every single day, these people, they suit up and they go out and they go to work like they're at war, but it's a war trapped in a community. Now, there was an estimate of 40 million. Since 2021, I would say 10 million of that population is gone. I'm thinking they're closer to 29, 30 million strong right now. But with the sterilization that just took place a couple of years ago, I don't see very many new births. I don't see very many new pregnancies. And I'm seeing a lot of people sick. So I see those numbers of that community diminishing. The Black Lives Matter movement was a setup. It was a trap. It brought you in. They told you that if you don't do what they wanted you to do in 2021, that you're a dirty, nasty Trump supporter, and you're a white supremacist, and questioning what you're about to do has all the hallmarks of white supremacy. And remember, these are the same people that said math and numbers are racist, and so is reading, because reading in English comes from white people. This was all a grift of ignorance, and you would have to be voluntarily ignorant to fall for any of it or believe it or think it made sense. It didn't. So I'm happy to hear that they're tearing down this goddamn plaza and they're removing all this nonsense. It just didn't make, none of it made sense in the first place. When again, the people they prop up advocate for hurting and actually shooting and killing each other every single day. And those are the people that they make famous. The best that the rest of the public can do, unfortunately, is get out of the way, because you don't want to be in the crossfire. It's a very dangerous place. So anyway, like and subscribe, share the video. BLM is over, and the hypocrisy of the black community is what killed it. And they did a hell of a job. Black lives matter, but then you only care about a black life and somebody who's white is involved in the death. It's insane. It's insanity. But it's over. It didn't make any sense. It was a temporary run to get you to do something that you shouldn't did anyway. And if you complied, then you don't have to worry about most of these cultural issues pretty soon anyway. You won't have to worry about any issues anymore, actually. So like and subscribe, share the video. We'll be back, and we'll have another story in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.